In our spiritual tradition, bushes break into flames, deserts bloom, trees clap their hands, and mountains and hills break into song. And we are invited to join this chorus of creation, to take our place, to participate, not dominate, to pay attention, and to be astonished by it all. We continue the journey of Eastertide back to the garden. A fallow place, a wild place, a wondrous place. A deserted place, a discerning place, a sacred place. A place of dying, and a place to begin again.
Almond trees renewed in bloom, do they not proclaim life returning year by year, love that will remain? Almond blossom, sign of life in the face of pain, raises hope in people's hearts. Spring has come again. War destroys 1,000-fold, hatred scars the earth, but the day when almonds bloom is a time of birth. Friends, give thanks for almond blooms swaying in the wind, token that the gift of life triumphs in the end.
The opening prayer this morning is a bit of an amendment of a poem by Mary Oliver entitled, "I Happened to Be Standing." Mary Oliver, I think, one of the finest psalmists the world has ever known. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. Do cats pray while they sleep, half asleep in the sun? Does the opossum pray as it crosses the street? The sunflowers, the old black oak growing older every year. I know I can walk through the world along the shore or under the trees, with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance, a condition I can't really call being alive. Is a prayer a gift or a petition? Or does it matter? The sunflowers blaze, maybe that's their way. Maybe the cats are sound asleep, maybe not. While I was thinking this, I happened to be standing just outside my door with my notebook open, which is the way I begin every morning. And then a cardinal in the highest bough began to sing. He was positively drenched in enthusiasm. I don't know why, and yet, why not? I wouldn't persuade you from whatever you believe or whatever you don't. But I thought of the cardinals singing. What could this be if it isn't a prayer? So I listened, and in that moment, caught up in creation's praise. Amen. This very ancient Easter hymn speaks of that verdancy at the heart of the creation. here is Eugene Peterson's version of Matthew chapter 6. Jesus said, "There is far more to your life than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfettered, not tied down to a job description or a to-do list, careless in the care of God. Has anyone, by fussing in front of the mirror, ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? All of this time and money wasted on fashion. Walk out into the fields and look at the wild flowers. They never primp or shop. But have you ever seen color and design quite like it? What I'm trying to do here is to get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting. Rather, pay attention to the gifts that reveal themselves on every horizon. So I shared with you last week that as I was seeking to see all the ways we could speak to this invitation to go back to the garden, I happened upon Catherine Riley's work in Arts on Main, and lo and behold, every single piece spoke to this conversation. And so I am so grateful that she has agreed to share her process and perspective as an artist and a gardener herself on, I think, 3 images that reveal some profound wisdom.
Well, no pressure on profound wisdom. So this piece is called The Heart of Winter. And I'll just speak briefly to a little bit of my background and situation as a person who likes to do art. And there are many artists in the room. I've even received advice from Victoria here, who is an amazing artist, trying to help me find my voice. As a person who likes to do art, I'm always reluctant to use the word as an artist because I feel I have not made that commitment that I'm giving it my all to do the art because I am so torn with many other things, including the garden. The garden needs tending and looking after, and the house needs cleaning, and I have friends, I have family. There's so many things pulling and pulling, and so I don't dedicate that time, that nurturing to the making of art that I often feel I should. So I'm the apologetic person who makes art. There may be others in the room who share that experience, and I think we all have that experience of there's something we feel we want to do, need to do, but there are so many other things calling us, and it is hard to find the calling. So that's kind of the struggle I have. Um, I was always the kid in school who was good at drawing, and so it's always been with me. That's just in my core. And naturally, as I grew older and became an adult, I was drawn into the creative field. So my training is as an interior designer, and I started that back in the days before computer graphics. So we all learned how to do perspective drawing and watercolor technique to illustrate what we were doing. So I've learned how to do precise and perfection. That's something that, I'm pretty good at that. I can do a good drawing and I can make it look like what it's supposed to do. And so this is a little bit in that style. It's very stylized, of course, and I went into my own imagination and I was drawn to the patterns of the shadows that you always see on the snow in the winter from the trees, that lacy pattern. And that kind of kicked me off into starting with something. And I was also, at the time, reading and learning a lot about that whole new science of how trees talk to each other through the mycorrhizae. And so I just thought there's a whole life going on under the surface of this very quiet, snowy landscape. There's hot stuff happening underneath of there. And so that was my inspiration. And I just sort of noodled away and went down the rabbit hole of just making swirls. And I work in watercolor, so sometimes there's little what we call accidentals that happen with the paint, and then, oh, okay, well, that looks like this, and then I just really went into it. And that was kind of the process behind this piece of trying to get across the sort of the stillness and serenity and the pristine whiteness of the winter landscape, but all that warm, earthy stuff that's happening underneath.
That with you, Catherine. So the pattern is Catherine. I'll provide an invitation, and then Tom will provide a soundtrack. Winter is not without its work. Dormancy is not without its wisdom. That which unfolds invisible to us is not without its agency. Perhaps the biggest lesson that the trees in winter teach us is to trust in our own returning to life. Teilhard de Chardin said, "Above all, trust in the slow work of God." We are quite naturally impatient to everything, in everything to reach the end without delay. We are not always at home in the dormant phases of our lives. We are impatient of being on the way, always moving, striving, knowing. It seems to me that this image is a powerful invitation to trust the slow unfolding of our souls, unfolding in the larger soul of the creation.
April, come she will.
So this piece is something that I did just a couple of months ago. It's called What Can Happen with Water. Robin and I were on a holiday in Chile with Mike and Marisa. So some of you will remember them they often come here in the summer. And Marisa is from Chile, and they have built a home there that they stay in the winter. And we were staying for a few days at her brother's place, which is right on the ocean, overlooking the ocean. And in Chile, the ocean currents are very cold, and so it's not tropical there. It is a desert. So all around you, it's quite hostile. There's cacti and prickly things and rocks, and so it's although it's sort of an impressive landscape with the ocean and these rolling hills and everything, it's a little intimidating, and I found it harsh. But every once in a while, you would see little patches of color bursting out. So there would be green and some sort of purple thing growing. Wherever there could be a little bit of water, a little pocket of water. And Roberto's home, he has a little garden, bless his heart, trying to grow, lime trees and everything in this hostile environment. And he has a little irrigation system. And he has this cute little garden right by his door where all around is this desert that appears to have nothing, but actually is filled with seeds just waiting for their big chance. And so he waters this little patch. And I just loved it. I just thought those succulents were kind of talking to each other, and hey, I'm here, and hey, isn't this great? And so, yeah, it's just I just wanted to be very spontaneous with it and do a very quick study and catch the moment of these little guys just eking out a very flourishing existence because Roberto waters his garden.
Oops. The invitation to be alive is central to our spiritual tradition. Not just to breathe, not just to exist, but to flourish and to contribute to the flourishing of others. To water the seeds of compassion and joy, to provide a cup of water for the stranger, to provide water for those who are wilting with grief or anxiety or fear. Attending to one another, for we are part of this ecosystem, thirsty for purpose and belonging and joy. Perhaps you are experiencing a desert place at the moment, a thirsty place. Perhaps you are experiencing a longing to be more fully alive. I wonder what pieces within you are in need of water so as to bloom and to grow. What is it that would quench your thirsty soul?
And this one's Here Comes the Sun by George Harrison and the Beatles, and also mixed with arrangement by a YouTuber named Peter Bentz.
Okay, well, this piece is called April. So as I had said, I'm classically trained in watercolor, and I can do very careful illustration work. And in fact, I've worked in museums doing the kind of illustration that archaeologists want, where it has to be, precise. But what I really love is abstract art. Like if I had lots of money, that's what I would buy for my home. That's my preference. But I'm too chicken most of the time to even try it, because that's I'm not experienced enough in it. It takes, although people often say, "Oh, anybody could do that." Let me tell you, it requires an incredible amount of discernment to do abstract art that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, works. So I'm getting ready for, at Arts on Main Gallery, we have new shows every 2 or 3 months. So we're having another turnover at the end of May. So in April, I'm busy squirreling away in my studio trying to get new work ready for the next turnover. And I've been working on some watercolors of daffodils. And I'm taking, sort of classic approach to it. So it's very careful, somewhat tedious work, a lot of precision involved. And I'm enjoying that. I'm going down the rabbit hole of that process, but it's also tiring. And I just felt the need to kind of burst out. It was like April was here after what seemed like an eternity of gray and rain and never 2 nice days in a row. And finally, there's daffodils everywhere, and here I'm squirreled away in my little thing painting them, and I thought, yeah, but I just need to show that joy and exuberance of spring finally being here. And so that's a large piece. It's about, 36 by 48 maybe. It's quite a big piece for me. But I just got out my large brushes and my acrylics, and I just let it rip. And it's a work in progress, and I will keep looking at it and maybe go into it a little bit more. I have many opportunities to completely wreck this thing. That is the trick of abstract art, is knowing when to stop and get out of there. So, at any rate, so this is just an expression of that, the joy of those daffodils and April finally being here. Yeah. April, come what may.
So I feel like I want to amend the traditional response, Christ is risen, he has risen indeed. I think it should be amended to Christ is risen, let it rip. Yes? Yes. Thomas Merton. God plays in the garden of creation, and if we could let go of our own obsession with what we think is the meaning of it all, we might be able to hear the invitation to join in the mysterious cosmic dance. An invitation to forget ourselves on purpose. Cast our worries, and there are many, and obsessions, equally as many, to the winds and dance.
This one is from the image Walking on Sunshine, like Katrina and the Waves, but I thought I'd preamble with just something just from looking at the image kind of thing, so just something free.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Cynthia. So, Catherine, I'm hoping when that piece is finished, you'll bring it and let us enjoy it. At this time of our